Good evening, everybody. Listen, I'm looking. I'm getting a notice on my phone. Oh, it's me because the Real Money Coach is live, right? So it's Thursday at 8 o'clock and 8 o'clock Eastern here on the East Coast, and we are coming to you live as we do each and every Thursday. Listen, I was going back through our YouTube. Man, I went back, y'all. I went back a year ago and I listened to the show when Dr. Dennis Kimbrough was on our show. I was like, man, this was great information. So don't be surprised if you see a little Thursday, throwback Thursday, and we repost one of those old shows from a year ago or something like that. So we're probably going to do a little bit of that just to remind us of those good shows that we had, that we're still having. Listen, I enjoy this. I enjoy being with you every single week. I want you to put into the chat where you're watching from. Put into the chat where you're watching from and what city, what have you. And we're just glad to have you with us. There we go. There we go. We're starting to roll in now. We got Ruth Bell. I almost say Dr. Ruth Bell. How about that, man? All right. We got Ruth Bell from Charlotte, North Carolina. Glad to have you, Ruth, each and every week. You're a blessing to us. Let me tell you that. And so others are going to be falling in. We're going to be, hello, Alice Martin. Alice Martin, that's my girl, Alice Martin from Charlotte as well. One of my good members from Mount Carmel Baptist Church. I was just on a meeting with Pastor Kimbrough before this. So good to have you, Dr. Benita Harris. Good to have you. I'm telling you what, we just got good folks. We just got good folks that tune in and watch every week. And some people are watching, you're watching the replay or the Zoom later and that type of thing. We're glad to have you. Listen, Carmichael Gully, listen, all the way from Lansing, Michigan. Listen, I was there at Tabernacle of David. Oh, I guess it was in August. It was so good to see a lot of people. Got a chance to give my guy, Pastor Larry Trice a hug with mask on. Okay, we had a mask on. Okay, we was masked, but it was just good to see a lot of people at Tabernacle of David. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And, one of the things I was thinking about is I see him is I'll have to get Deval Murchison on this show one day, who's also from Tabernacle, now lives in Charlotte. Everybody wants to live in the Queen City. If you don't, that means you haven't visited here yet. So I'm just telling you, it's a great place to come and visit. Come and see us here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Speaking of visitors and people that come to Charlotte, North Carolina, I have to bring on my co-host because she comes to Charlotte all the time, right? She makes a trip to Charlotte at least a couple times a year. Now, I would tell you it's because, she just enjoys coming on the show. I would tell you it's because, she loves the Real Money Coach. But the truth of the matter is she loves my wife, right? They're best friends. All right. So, yes. So Michelle Mitchell's going to come on with us and we're going to have a little conversation before we get into our guest tonight. Michelle, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing well. You don't come because of me. I already know that, but that's all right. You got good reasons to come, right?
You're just the come along.
I come along, right? It's like buy one get one, right?
Right.
So
that's right.
I'm the get one, right?
Yeah, you to get one.
Love it. So good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. I wanted to have a little bit of conversation, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. Hopefully, we'll be able to show a flyer. Many of you may have seen. If you haven't seen, you can Google AJ Johnson. He's the guy, the actor from the Friday movie. Have you seen that, Michelle? And so he passed. No life insurance. And his wife got on TMC on social media, kind of called out the fans. Some people felt like because they did not give to the GoFundMe. And so it was interesting. And we're going to be doing with the Black Couples Getaway, we're going to be doing a life insurance workshop, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. So that's going to be October 12th at 8 p.m. Oh, there we go. October 12th at 8 p.m. and the title of this workshop is GoFundMe Ain't Life Insurance. Okay.
Ain't that right?
Yeah. So can I get an amen, right?
Amen.
GoFundMe ain't life insurance.
Right.
Now, so I have an interesting question for you because you are a numbers person. I
Mhm.
know that. Did we have classes? Did we have any accounting classes together?
Yes,
We did.
we did.
Did
Yeah.
I cheat off your paper?
You we
All
won't
right.
talk about that. No.
We won't talk about that. Yeah. So we were accounting majors together at
Mhm.
Western. We started the same month, graduated the same month.
Yes, we did.
And then we added Lisa in there in between.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So since you're a numbers person, I want to
Mhm.
ask you this number. And I want to ask people in the chat too, just get involved with us a little bit. No cheating, no Googling. But how many GoFundMes are started every year to pay for funeral memorial costs?
Oh my goodness.
Somebody in the chat, Dr. Benita Harris,
Yeah, tell me.
Michael, Alice Martin, Ruth. Anybody have a guess? Just put it in without Googling it, without doing the research. Just put in the chat box how many GoFundMes are started every year to handle funeral and memorial costs.
Mm. That's an interesting question.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
You got it. No one's putting.
I,
Okay,
I
you got
okay, we
1,000.
got
Somebody said
1,000.
1,000. All right. Dr. Benita Harris says
I
1,000.
think we got more than that.
You think it's more than that?
Yeah, I do.
Michael says numerous. All right.
Yep.
That's
Numerous.
not a quantitative number, right?
Right.
That's not a quantitative. Maybe he's not a number person.
Right.
Alan Barton said too many.
Too many. It is too
and
many.
That's right. That's
Mhm.
for sure.
Yep.
Yes. How many? Michelle, you haven't put a number out there yet.
I know. I'm thinking of maybe a couple 100,000.
125,000 every year.
Yeah, that's okay.
New accounts every year to cover funeral costs.
Those are new accounts.
Those are new accounts.
That don't mean that it's been an old account.
Right. That's new accounts.
Right.
Started every year.
Mm-hmm.
And and so we need to do something about it. And I thought it was interesting because today is September 30th, the last day of the month. This is Life Insurance Awareness Month, and I think all the attention that this whole situation with AJ has caused is opening up the dialogue. Let's talk about it. And as I was thumbing through the GoFundMe, you guys, it was so many. There's obviously a lot of Black and brown people for sure. There were a lot of children, a lot of young people in there as well. And so, we really got to do something about this. And so we're going to have this workshop next week or week after next, rather, just to talk about it, have a dialogue about this particular topic. We'll do a little bit on what are the different types of life insurance and that type of thing, but let's start having these conversations.
I think it's the stigma of it, because some people think, well, if we talk about life insurance, that means I'm gonna die or you gonna die,
because you like don't step on the crack because you may break your mother's back,
right? Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I actually have had people actually tell me that. They said, I'm not going to buy life insurance because I don't want to jinx myself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember one gentleman told me that one time. He said, I don't want to jinx myself. I said, do you know anybody that died without life insurance? He said, well, yeah, most of my family. I said, well,
right. That should say something.
Okay. So yeah. And you're right, Ruth. It needs to change. We need to change that. And that's just foundational to your financial wellness, your financial planning, is to have that piece in place. And so I always tell people, if not me, if not, us, then somebody. Get it from somebody, somewhere. Make sure that you have coverage. And then we can talk about all of the other stuff, what's the best type and what it can do for you and all that. But at a very minimum, have enough to put your butt in the ground.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're going to leave a bill. And it's very selfish for you to save your little $10, $15, $25, or whatever it happens to be a month to keep in your pocket and then put that bill of thousands of dollars onto someone else.
Yeah.
To me, that's selfish. But
That is
you
selfish.
know,
That is selfish.
but that's just me. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
what we're going to talk about tonight with our guests is we're going to talk about financial literacy, financial education.
Oh,
And I
awesome.
think that's a big part of this whole conversation too, as we're talking about life insurance, is just financial education.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you're into financial education.
Yes.
Tell me why. Tell me why do you think it's important?
I think it's important, especially in what I do, is because women don't trust themselves with money, period.
Mm,
You know, they've always been told to, um, you know, like their value is not there because they can never get paid as much as a male can get paid, or they just don't know how to manage money. But the real statistic is that when women manage their money, they do better than men. That's the
mm,
real statistic.
I believe that.
Yeah, but
I believe that.
because they're educated. So I'm passionate about it is, I want to teach people what I know. And just because I was educated in accounting doesn't even mean that I knew everything. You know what I mean?
I say
I
that all the
also
time,
had
Michelle.
to learn.
I,
Yeah,
I got a degree in
I got a
accounting,
degree.
and
Yes,
did not learn about personal
and
finance.
did not learn about personal finance.
Right.
Nope,
And
not
then
at
I don't
all.
have 5 or 6 master's degrees as you, but I mean, literally, how can you academic scholarship? I took 3 years of accounting in high school,
Yeah,
4 years of accounting in college,
yeah.
and not learn anywhere in that. I don't ever remember them mentioning the word credit report,
Nope,
credit
not at
score,
all. Mm-mm.
debt, avalanche
Nope,
method,
nope,
snowball method,
nope,
nothing, right?
nope.
And so we learned it the hard way.
We
We
did.
learned it the hard way,
We
and now we're
mhm,
giving back by teaching it.
right. We learned it the hard way, and because of the church that I, as an adult, went to, I learned about it.
Dave Ramsey, Crown,
Yep.
some of those
Mhm.
types of things.
Yep.
Right, right.
Mhm. And
Absolutely.
because it was innate in me and natural in me, once I learned it, and my husband and I went through it. He's not a numbers person. I am. So, that dynamic, then we start teaching other couples,
Right.
how to do it. So, it's just been a part of my life as an adult, in learning about and teaching, personal finance and financial literacy. So,
Yeah, I think it's
mhm,
so needed. And like I said, well, I see a couple people that are from 2 of the churches that we worked with here
mhm,
in Charlotte, being the Park Church. Want to give out a shout out to the Park Church.
mhm.
And then also Mount Carmel, is that we both had WINS wealth building centers there where we were teaching
Right,
financial education.
right.
And that the pastors saw the vision enough
Yes.
to say, hey, listen, we're going to teach this at our church.
Mhm.
And we know many times we've seen Dave Ramsey and Crown
Yeah.
Financial, but sometimes you just need a different perspective,
Yep.
and I think sometimes you need multiple perspectives, because the
Mhm.
first time I don't get it, the second
Mhm.
time I start to get it, but then the breakthrough happens,
Right.
and so we have the breakthrough. And
Mhm.
so for that reason, we need as many people out there teaching true financial literacy as possible.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
it's interesting that you said something, and like I mentioned, I went back and I re-listened to November 12th. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough was on our show, and he said this. He said that thank you,
Thank
um,
you, Dr. Vanita.
thank you. He said this. He said that if we bring the wages of Black women up to their male counterparts,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
we could end poverty in the Black neighborhood.
Yep. We
And,
could.
and he said, because how many women are leading households,
Yep.
single mothers, and that type of thing.
Mhm.
He said, if we want to make a real difference, if we want to make reparations,
Mhm.
then we ought to do something to bring the women their salary, their work, bring them
Yep.
up to the wage of their counterparts. And we're not talking
Yes.
about even female counterparts, but even our
Mhm.
white male counterparts.
Right.
So if you want to make reparations in the Black community, do that.
Yes.
And it would make a big difference because,
Huge
as you
difference.
mentioned, we sometimes still aren't making the same amount of money
Right.
that would. Oh, we got Kimberly Winborn on. Kimberly Winborn, you remember she was on our show, and she has the wonderful book called Debt Detox.
Yes.
Debt Detox.
Yes.
So, if you guys want a good book, you want a 30-day detox financial, get the Debt Detox. It's available on Amazon by Kimberly Hines Winborn. Listen, I could chat all day.
I
could
know.
talk about this stuff all day, but we have a wonderful guest that's coming on tonight. This young man is a Moore. He's actually one of my bank representatives where I have my bank accounts. And y'all, for y'all business owners, I do have separate accounts. Got business accounts and personal
You
accounts.
better.
Come on now. All right.
Mhm.
So we got different accounts, right? So listen, and he and the one of the ladies that was there, I believe she was a manager or assistant manager, have left. They started a nonprofit, and it's called, the nonprofit is Just Do It Movement. That's Just Do It Movement Inc. And they are about doing financial literacy. There's the website. Chris has it up right there. It's Just Do It Movement. And they are doing some tremendous work and teaching financial literacy and, you know, for homeless people and different things like that. And then they are also, I think, going to be getting into some of the jail and prison systems, teaching financial literacy. And we certainly, to be honest with you, we are really thinking that we're going to be able to partner with them and be able to give them some of access to some of our materials and things that we're using so that we can keep this thing going. So without any further ado, though, let me bring the young man on, Mr. Isa Moore. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I did that wrong. I said Isa. It's
Issa.
Issa, yeah, you.
Isa. I know I was doing right. Isa.
Third time's the charm, man.
Man, it's good. It's good to have you.
It's an honor, man.
And you know, it's just good to have you here, man. And we have been seeing each other for a couple years now. And the other day, you and I met at Whole Foods and just kind of talk about some things. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to meet. He's like, I don't know him. I said, the guy from the bank. He said, oh yeah. The nice guy, the nice young guy, right? Young guy. So it's good to have you on the show. Man, respect for what you and Jessica are doing.
No, man, I'm honored to be here. I appreciate that. So yeah, we're doing a lot of work in the community, man. Like you said in your brief bio, Jessica, she used to work at Wilforce as well, and you know, she'd been there for I think 10 to 15 years, so it had become a part of her life, and you know, but her passion was always doing the work in the community, and I met Jessica last year. Actually, I met her last year, and we built a relationship. But every time she would come into the branch, and I would see her, and I would just be like, you know, this is not your passion. You know, you're here. I'm sure I don't know how much money they were paying her, but I know she'd been there a lot longer than I had, and they weren't paying me too bad. So I knew they were paying her really good. So she didn't walk away from nothing. You know.
Right.
Well, then one day.
And I do want to say that because when you talk about your passion, and one of the things I love about Michelle is one of her taglines, which is, Michelle,
bridging the gap from your passion to profit.
Passion to profit.
We help you bridge the gap. Yeah.
And so, by the way, y'all, let's make sure we get Michelle's contact information in the chat box, because if y'all need a consultant, y'all, especially if you're a woman in business, she's your girl.
On here dropping jewels.
Contact her. So and I remember having these conversations with Jessica one day. My wife and I were sitting down with her in the bank, and she was just talking about her nonprofit, and you could just see it light up in her that was something that she was real passionate about. But before we get into Just Do It movement, tell us a little bit about you, man. Where'd you grow up? And
so thank you. I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and I always leave that part out about my upbringing because why mention Kansas City? I love Kansas City. I love my family that's still there. But Cleveland is home for me. It's where I grew up at. It's where I was raised. It's where I was made. It's where I developed my passion for people, for service. I grew up. My dad raised me, along with I have a lot of siblings. However, he has 5 children total, and he raised us. And we came up as a tight-knit family. Definitely humble beginnings, like they like to say. But one thing that he always pushed in us was service, man. Like our job to our people, our communities, should be at the forefront of our life. And I took it personal. Like they say, I took it personal. I was like, that's what I want my life to be about. I want my life to be about service. So it started with I'm with the Nation of Islam. So it started as just going door to door in the communities, talking to our people, just helping out our people, man. We did a lot of work with police brutality, families and whatnot. We did a lot of work in the actual community, just helping feed people, but that was all me partnering with, other people. And then as I grew and got older, got a family, came to Charlotte. I left my love. My first love was Cleveland, and came to Charlotte. And it was like, this is where I was supposed to be at. And things just started to fall in line. The job that I was at, they gave me a raise to move to Charlotte. And I was working for Whole Foods. And that's what cultivated my idea to want to be healthier. Okay. Eat healthier. And I'll tell you, once you change the food that you're putting in your body, your mindset will just start changing about a lot of things. It'll open up perspective on your value of life, and then your value on other people's lives. So the first nonprofit I was a part of, that's what we taught. We taught food justice in our communities.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
food
so
justice.
Food justice, man. That's a phrase.
Unpack that food justice.
That's a phrase, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize that, and even if they do realize, they just don't understand how important it is that we are not fed properly. And a part of that is, of course, our responsibility to feed ourselves. However, in our communities, we do not have full service grocery stores. And that's fresh meat, fresh produce. It was called prepared foods, or, and then the rest of the grocery store, you go into a grocery store and it has what's called a health food section. If this specific part of the grocery store is called the health food section,
what is the rest of it?
It's like,
I never thought about that.
But you know what's crazy is that what's even crazier about that is that we hardly ever visit the health food section of the store as well. So we were teaching urban farming, man. We were teaching what a food desert was. We were teaching organic, non-GMO, genetic engineering food. We were teaching people how to garden in their backyards, in the middle of Cleveland. Urban farming, man, it's a big thing, and
it is a big thing.
Yeah, urban farming is huge,
and it's growing. It's really growing, and that's a beautiful thing that people are catching on to it through other programs or whatnot. But that's food justice, man. And really, though, what we didn't realize is that we are being either killed or stagnated through our diet. Think about what food does to us. It has the ability to heal us, has the ability to kill us. And usually we eat what does the latter. Yeah. That's what we
that's very interesting. And I didn't even know this, right? So this is kind of interesting. When we made it, you said let's meet at Whole Foods, I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know, I didn't know this brother. I mean, no wonder they know your name in there, right?
Right.
Where he at? Oh, he out the side waiting on you. So that's pretty cool. But thank you for bringing that. I mean, because we hear these cliches like your health is your wealth, but you know what? What good it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Or it's health, right? So you can be wealthy and just not even be able to enjoy it because you can't hardly walk, you can't breathe, you can't do those type of things. And let me announce to our audience tonight, Lisa and I, we're going on a detox, right? Next week. Yeah, we're going on a detox, a 20-day detox. And so we're going to get our eating right. We're going to do some things. I will let y'all know on the Real Money Coach how it's going. So if I come on here next Thursday and I look a little grumpy, y'all know brother ain't had no meat, right?
So, she detoxing you of meat. Okay.
Yeah, no, we detoxing of all cooked foods. All cooked foods. We're gonna go
going raw.
Natural raw foods for 20 days, and then we're gonna make some changes. We're gonna do the detox, and then we're gonna make some changes. So, so thank you for that. I mean, God just sent you tonight just to encourage us on that part. So I appreciate that.
But to bring that full circle, we're here on behalf of the Just Do It movement. That's how me and Jessica really built our relationship. She initially she wanted me to come into the organization and take lead for our health and wellness programs, and that was during the pandemic. And we saw that even though the need for that is still tremendous, we have other aspects of the organization that was more that we needed to address faster.
Okay.
And then that's where we came into the financial literacy and our what's called our ID program as well.
Okay. Now I saw that on your website, the ID program. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Just Do It movement. I thought that was an interesting name as well. And you're a 501(c), which means people can go to your website. They can make tax deductible charitable gifts, all those types of things.
Yes.
And I understand that no one's getting a salary, right? So you guys are all volunteer, nonprofit, and that too has to change, right? Because your
nonprofit is a business.
It's a business, right, Michelle?
That's right.
So we got to get some revenue in your hand so that you guys, those who are working, can be paid. We believe in that. We believe in that totally. But we'd also believe in giving and service and all that type of thing. So tell us a little bit about just overall. I know Jessica kind of is the founder and the CEO. Just give us that 30,000 foot view of the organization. And then let's drill into some of the programs you have, like the ID program.
So the way that started is, so Jessica, like I said, she's at Woodforest, and she's already been doing this work for years before I met her. And she comes to work, and I don't want to tell too much, but I walked to the back, and we had already built a relationship, but a friendship, and she was crying in the back. And she wasn't just bawling, she was crying, and I was like, what is it? We were going through short staffing, COVID, so much was going on there. And she told me what it was. And I asked her what was her passion. And she told me this. She told me Just Do It movement. And she told me what her vision was. And it's just so complex that she's not into just pulling up on our homeless neighbors or our less fortunate people and just handing them money, or just going out and just feeding them. That's not the vision. Now, do we do that? Yeah, you'll see us stop and do that. Why not? However, the vision is to really change their life. And it's through the different programs that we offer, the financial literacy, the ID program. And then we're working on our health and wellness program and partnering with work development so that these people, our neighbors, can learn skills and trades to actually help them whether start their business or become self-sufficient. And that's the big difference about our organization, is that we're not focused on just, feeding them for a night. Like you said, you feed a man a fish, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach him how to fish, you feed him for life. We are in the business of teaching our neighbors how to fish. And that's the idea she brought to me, and I told her, do it. And but I made sure I told her, I'm not telling you to leave Wilforce because I ain't gonna take care of you. She got a husband. She has a husband, and he's a very, very hardworking and very intelligent and very, he can take care of him. At the same time, I'm just like, I'm not telling you to quit, but because I don't want that. I don't want that on my hands. But what I'm telling you is that you have to go after your passion.
Go after your passion.
Go after the passion.
And she came back, I think it was maybe between a week and a month later, with her corporation papers.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened the business account. I wasn't new, but I didn't know how to do it, so I did it wrong. So somebody fixed it. I don't know who fixed it, but so she opened it, and man, from there, not too long after, she went on leave because her son couldn't. It was COVID, so he wasn't going to school. So she was schooling from home. So she went on leave and just decided that she wasn't coming back.
She wasn't coming back. I remember when we sat down with her, Lisa and I, and we were talking about those things, like, getting it was before I think she even did her 501(c). And so we were just kind of encouraging her because she shared with us what her passion was. So kudos for you for, encouraging your coworker to go on, and for her. And let me just say this, because I think we probably said that she's also working on a master's degree, and she has class on Thursday night, or she would have also been here along with you to talk about it. So one of the days when she doesn't have class, we're going to get her on here to share her story as well. So tell us about the ID program. What is the ID program all about?
So a huge issue that a lot of our neighbors are running into constantly is that even if they wanted to get a job, or even if they wanted to attain housing, or any type of, or one of the programs that assist them from another organization, first thing they need is identification. And a lot of our neighbors, through their homeless venture, the things that they go through are just can be horrendous or horrific, and it would just make a lot of people crumble. But they're so strong. Sometimes they end up getting robbed. People steal their IDs, their birth certificates, their social security card, or they just end up lost because there's no actual where for them to put their things. And some of them were in encampment, some of them were by themselves, and just along the process they would lose their belongings. And so what Jessica, she started the ID program, which the avenues that we go through to help them attain their IDs, their birth certificates, their social security cards, even if they're out of state, they live in North Carolina and their birth certificates are out of state, the avenues that she goes through to help them attain it are tremendous. And I tell you, since February, we've helped well over 300, around 400 people attain identification. And what that does for them is that it puts them in a position where they can attain assistance from other organizations, or attain a job, attain housing, whether it's temporary or permanent housing. Or it gives them just an opportunity to go home. So it gives them a lot more power over their lives. It gives them back their identity. Right now, we're helping a man who he doesn't have an ID, a social, or birth certificate, doesn't have any of his medical cards. He was just recently robbed. Like I was just telling everyone that some of the things that happened to them, he was just recently robbed. And what makes it worse is he's from, I believe it's either New Jersey or Pennsylvania. And we're in a position where we're trying to figure out how to get this man his life back. Because right now he feels like a ghost. No one knows who he is. He doesn't have family here. The only family that we can kind of get in contact with is I believe it's a cousin, and she can't prove that she's his cousin so that she can obtain his birth certificate. So it's just a lot of hoops that we jump through to assist our neighbors. And the reason why we've only helped 400 so far, and that's, like I said, that's from February or March up until now, and is funding. There's so much money that goes into paying for IDs, paying for birth certificate, paying for social security cards, paying for our neighbors to have transportation to and from their appointments to attain these things. Because we don't just tell them, hey, we set you up an appointment, be there at this amount of time. We order them an Uber or a Lyft to make sure that they make it there. We're in constant communication with them to make sure that they're gaining control over that aspect of their life. So that's
I just want to pop in here because unless you work with the population, you don't know. I never would have thought about someone who's homeless or doesn't have a place to stay, that just having a state ID and a social security card and a birth certificate. I mean, if you don't have those things, how are you going to get a job? Because you got to turn in a copy of your W-9, right?
Your
you got to turn in a copy of your I-9. Excuse me, your I-9. You got to turn in a copy of your social security card.
Yes.
And I just think it's amazing what you guys are doing, because I never would have even thought about that aspect. And we have a fairly large homeless population in Charlotte, like most big cities. I mean, I imagine that it's probably 2,000 or 3,000, maybe.
It's up there. It might be a little more than that, especially if we're considering the whole Mecklenburg area.
Okay. And so what a tremendous gift to them to be able to help them get their IDs and be able to, like you said, take control of that aspect of their life, so that they exist, other than you said it so well, that he felt like a ghost. He doesn't really exist because he doesn't have those things. So that's pretty awesome.
And what's so powerful about it is that when I first came into it, she was explaining to me her vision and whatnot, and I didn't even think about this aspect of it. So she's been doing it for so long that she can tell you what the issues are here, what the issues are there. And like I said, so far we've been able to help from February. We've helped much more than this since she started the organization, and just since she's been doing this work herself. But since February up until now, we've helped around 400, and that could be, ending this year around the 1,000 mark if we could receive the proper funding, because that is by far the most expensive part of our organization right now.
Let me say this to our audience too. If you're listening, if you're aware of anyone who is grants or issue grants or grant writers, we're going to have the contact information in here. We want you to email them. You can go to your website. You can make a donation towards this. Now, I'll tell you honestly, when I was on your website and I saw the ID program, my immediate thought was how in North Carolina they passed an ID law and I may have this mixed up, to be able to vote. If you don't have, there's a lot of states they're passing that you got to have an ID to vote. And that's a lot of our population that it's like they can't even vote in some places because they don't have an ID. Right. But it's a much larger issue than that, just with the ID.
Right. Yeah. And what's even more troublesome is here in North Carolina, you need two forms of identification just to get your state ID, and that's your social. Most of the time it's your social and your birth certificate.
Right.
Mhm.
So imagine, even if you have your social, you don't have your birth certificate,
Mhm.
You can't
know,
get a state ID.
you can't even get a
Right.
state ID. So
Wow.
it's definitely, Jessica is strong. She
Well,
got it.
I mean, that program alone, right
Yeah.
there. I mean,
Mhm.
and we're going to talk about financial literacy as well. But that program alone, right there, that just kind of blows me away. Just what you guys are doing in that aspect, and so
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, Real Money Coach family, let's rally behind this effort. Let's rally behind this effort. Let's do something to help them. Let's pledge something. Let's make a donation. Real Money Coach
That's a
family.
blessing, man. We
Uh,
would appreciate that.
so now let's talk about financial literacy. I was, as you know, from coming in the bank, we do financial literacy at the Real Money Coach.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And you asked me the other day, some questions about that. And we think, and we all are going to get together and talk about it. We think that there may be some opportunity where we can partner, we can, do some things affiliate wise to bring some resources and help you guys. So tell us a little bit about what you have done in the financial literacy area and what your vision is for that.
So I I recently took over our financial literacy program just to add more structure to it, and so that we could start tracking our progress from our neighbors and from the other individuals that programs that we're doing. So just a brief backstory on our financial literacy program. In about, I believe it was in February, and that's why I brought up the ID program starting in February, because in February the state Mecklenburg, the county, mandated that, I believe it was 7 campgrounds where our homeless neighbors lived had to be evacuated, and they had to. Thank God they did provide them hotels, or an option to stay in a hotel if they wanted to, and a lot of them did. Some of them preferred to stay outside than be in the hotel due to certain restrictions as far as curfew and other restrictions. So some of them did opt to stay outside, but most of them went inside the hotels, and I think it was all hotels. And then some of them did go into transitional homes. So what that did was that opened up an opportunity for us, for them to be centralized, and for us to reach more of them at once.
Mhm.
And so we partnered with another organization. I'll give them a quick shout out, Hearts for the Invisible Coalition, with another woman named Jessica. I'm assuming that Jessica is just a powerful name, because they're out here putting in work. But we partnered with them, who she has a transitional home, and she allowed us to come in. We do 2 Sundays a month to do our financial literacy course. Now, this is apart from the one that Jessica was doing at the hotel, and she was doing another one. I'm sorry. So we started the program. It's the transitional houses about 6 adult men, and every, like I said, 2 Sundays out of the month, we do our financial literacy program. And the vision is to teach them about saving, to teach them about the different types of accounts that they can go to their banks and inquire about, what to do with a certain amount of money, how to create a budgeting plan, how to create a savings plan, the difference between a savings account, a deposit gathering account, interest bearing account, stocks, different ways to invest your money, teaches them about credit, the importance of credit, making them credit aware, because I can't tell you how many people, being a bank manager, how many people come into our establishment who does not know where they are credit wise. And it baffles me, but I get it. From an empathy standpoint, I understand that I'm in a position where I was made aware of how important that was, where a lot of us are not made aware of that. We're
Mhm.
either taught that, and it's really a stigma that rich people. I mean, that's credit. Good credit is for rich people. Poor people don't really have good credit, and it's not true. One, good credit could bring you up out of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
On top of learning how to save, learning how to invest, learning how to create a budget, living within your means. These things that we all hear but never learn how to actually design that plan and maneuver it with discipline.
Application. It's like
Right.
a life application.
Yeah.
And I know I used to send when I was doing a lot of final expense and stuff like that, insurance, I would send a lot of people, especially seniors, to Wood Forest, because at the time, I don't know if you guys still got it or not, you guys had things like called second chance accounts, where if there was a senior and they had debt at another bank or something like that, I can't remember exactly how it went, but I would send people there because I would talk to them and they need insurance, they want insurance. We talked about that earlier, but what do you need with insurance? You need a bank account.
Right.
You need some bank account where that money's going to come out of.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would send a lot of these people to Wood Forest to open up an account because you guys had that I think it was called Second Chance or something like that gave them an opportunity to open up an account where maybe if they didn't have one. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about the homeless population that you're servicing, again, I think it's full circle. I mean, you got to have an ID to open a bank account.
A bank account.
So I'm going to talk to you about saving, but if you can't open a bank account to put the money in,
you can't apply it.
You can't apply it.
Yeah.
It comes full circle, man.
Yeah.
It comes full circle. And you can't save money walking around, because that's when the robberies and they getting, burglaries and stuff happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's so important. The work you guys are doing is so important. And I certainly hope that there's a way that we can partner and help provide some educational resources that we have. And we never really talked about much of it here, but maybe perhaps one week we'll go and on this show and show people the Real Money Coach University behind the scenes, what you get. You got a chance to see it the other day. Our whole system and that type of thing. What do you think of it?
It was beautiful. I when I looked at it, it just zoomed in on, it was easily understandable, very relatable, very necessary things. And I asked you when I saw the curriculum, well, it looked so understandable that I couldn't believe that it would be for beginners as well. But it looked so, the information was so advanced, but it was made understandable. And I was listening to someone and they said a genius is not someone who can, speak big words or throw ideas. They said, this is Nipsey Hussle, I'm quoting. He said, what made Einstein a genius is because he took a complex idea and made it E = MC squared. That's a very understandable equation, but it's such a big idea. And that's what what your curriculum looked like to me. Very covered all the, aspects of financial literacy that I could think of. But it was so understandable that I feel confident that I would be able to present that to our neighbors, and they would latch on to it really fast.
And one of the things, let me just say this, and I'm hearing you talk, and one of the things that I love hearing you say is our
neighbors. I noticed that.
Our neighbors.
I noticed that.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. To say our neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just shows dignity and respect. Yeah, and that's what everyone desires. Everyone wants to have some dignity and respect. Yeah. And so that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
I'll tell you a brief part of me that I didn't share. When I lived in Cleveland, right before I started working at Whole Foods there, I went through a brief period of homelessness myself. And I left my grandmother's house, and a guy was letting me stay in his basement. Mind you, I was in college, and I was really trying to. I was actually in college and high school, and I was really trying to make it work. And he was charging me. He told me that I had to pay him $400 a month to live in his basement. That was $400 more than what I had. And someone, a family friend, I remember one day I came into his house and I gave him, I did carpentry, and I got a check. And I came into his house and he was sitting on the stairs of the basement, and he's like, it's time to pay the piper or something of the sort. And I was like, this dude, I was like, I would fight this dude. I wouldn't have anywhere to stay. But so I signed that whole check over to him, and it was all the money I had. And so I was literally living off of the voucher that they were giving me at the college campus to eat. And so it was like, man, when I tell you that everything in life is something to be grateful for and something to be humble about. And it's not me comparing myself to where I was or the next person. It's just, why not be grateful? It just clears up a lot of space to be in the present moment and just to live and be happy and to do, be that passionate person to give back to your fellow neighbor or your brothers, why not? And so that's
why I'll tell you that says a lot right there. That explains a whole lot. That explains a whole lot, because you've been there, you've tasted it.
Yeah.
And that says a whole lot. And I'm gonna tell you something. If you were homeless in Cleveland, I hope it wasn't in January and February.
Right.
That wind off of the lake ain't no joke.
I'm telling you,
it's
real.
Everywhere. But in the cold environments, it's even another element to it that we don't necessarily think about. And so and like you said, with the tent cities that we see, we've seen some of that here in Charlotte. We've seen it in other places where homeless.
It's happening here.
And the crime rate in those areas are pretty strong, pretty high, because you have people who are homeless, no job, and it becomes like, if you're stronger and faster, then they take from others.
Exactly.
And so it's such a dynamic, and I think it's so important for us to give back. Like you mentioned, giving back, I think, is huge. And for you to share what you just shared about how you were living in the guy's basement, signed your whole check, all the money you had, to live in somebody's basement.
Right.
And, and now you're actually doing something to help other people who are in that same situation, and some worse. And so that says a lot about you guys volunteering to do this, by the way.
This is my second job. And this is my second job, and it's Jessica's primary job. She does not get paid to do it. And that's why I put it to so many people. You talk about the neighbor thing. It caught on to me too, because when I heard it from Jessica, I was like, neighbors. They live right by us.
Right.
And a lot of people like to act like we don't see them, or we have so much going on that we can't do anything. I'm telling you, what a dollar donation goes, people don't realize the power of unity. If you don't have the time, donate. But if you have the time, come help, do something. So yeah, she kept saying neighbors, and I was like, neighbors. These are neighbors. These people, not only are they our neighbors in the sense of the Bible, love your what does he say? Is it love thy
neighbor as thyself?
Yeah, love thy neighbor as thyself. Imagine that, and then imagine this, where these people who we cast out from society, every day we see them. We see them sometimes more than we see our our relatives. You know, we turn our blind eye. And so that goes into the Bible where God says, how could you love me who you never seen and hate your brother who you see every day? Some of these homeless people we see at the same place every single day. And we drive by.
Corner, we drive by unaffected.
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 And some of us are driving to our mosques, they're driving to our churches, you know, or driving to our work, you know, and we're just driving right by. And so that's why we call them neighbors, to remind us and to remind, you know, people that, one, love them like you would yourself. And you wouldn't love to see yourself standing out there, but two, to remind them that they live right with us. And so, so when I heard Jessica calling them that, I was like, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful. Let's do this, Chris. Can we put in the chat put in the chat the website? You can even pull it up again, but let's at least get it in the chat. So anyone who's watching, if you're watching tonight, you can click on it in the chat. You can go to that website, and if your heart is moved to give something tonight, let's give it. And you know, we don't normally do this, right? We don't normally do this on the Real Money Coach. But if you're so moved to just give something to this cause that we're talking about, just do it. Just do it. That's the name.
Just do it, right?
Is that why it's called that? Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, but also I would like to say, Tony, this is why you're doing what you're doing, educating people to build wealth, because that wealth that you're building is what you can use to give back, to help other people. So we're not just building wealth for ourselves. We are building wealth for generations, but also to give back into our community so that we can make an impact.
Right. Because a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, what and that's the question. Sometimes you ask someone and says, okay, you want to make this much money, you want to have this much wealth. For what cause?
Why?
Why?
What's your why?
What's your why? Is your why to help the homeless? Is your why, you know, and it can't be, and we say this all the time. We say, listen, we say, I don't want to be blessed. I don't want the blessing to stop with me, but I want the blessing to flow through me. Flow through me. So it's not for me, because it says that give and it shall be given back to you. Press down, shake it together, running over.
And Tony, to touch on that, I was told it's not a blessing if you're the only one that benefited.
Right.
Yeah. That's good. Wow. Yeah. What a show, man.
Right.
So we thank you for coming on and sharing. Look forward to, you know, having a Zoom meeting with you and Jessica, talk about how our curriculum could be a blessing to you guys and what you're doing. And then we're going to show our curriculum on here. We've never done that before. It's probably a good time that we do that as we go into fourth quarter and people getting ready. We got Dr. Chiquita Powell. Thank you for being on tonight. And we have some really good folks, I tell you. And you know, we like I said, I'm impressed with you. And you're how old, man? How old are you?
24. I mean, I hate to say it.
Yeah, he's younger than our boys.
I know.
He's younger than our boys.
Oh my goodness.
And to have a heart for people like you at your age, I think is a tremendous accolade for yourself. And you mentioned that you sound like that you were raised by your dad. And that's unique in itself too.
Yeah.
Because most fathers don't raise. So that's why, you know, Marlon, my partner, and you know, he's a single dad. So that's primarily the reason he's not
it
with
matters,
me.
man. It matters.
Plus, you know, God had to make room for Michelle, so we got it all worked out. Everything works to the good of those who love God and are called to his purpose. So thank you again for being on.
Yes, thank you, Isa.
And like I said,
Thank you for the opportunity.
We can have Jessica on too.
Yeah.
And maybe one day I have this. One day we're gonna do the Real Money Coach. We're gonna do it on location, right? We're gonna do it on location where we're actually in a facility where we're teaching financial literacy. And maybe, just maybe, the Just Do It movement would be a part of that. Maybe it's one of those things that we can go and show what you guys are doing for the community. I think that would be tremendous.
That would be awesome.
And so,
I can't wait to buy a plane ticket.
Keep growing. Keep doing what you're doing, and we're awfully proud of you. Michelle, any last words you'd like to share?
Isa, I'm proud of what you guys are doing, and it's really, I mean, just like what I said, what Tony's doing with the Real Money Coach, providing financial literacy for people, and it's not just about building wealth for yourself. It's also to create generational wealth, but also giving an impact back to your communities with whatever your passions are. Because a lot of us, we have jobs or businesses and things we're running. We're busy, but we like to do things. And if we have the financial means to do it, we can support our causes,
Right.
and that's how we make our impact. So we're not just creating this wealth just for ourselves. We're creating it to flow through us and be stewards to our neighbors, right?
Our neighbors.
Yeah.
Who is thy neighbor?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord have mercy. All right. Hey, Chris, put Michelle's contact information in the chat box too. That was well said. We do want to make sure that our audience knows how to get a hold of us, hold of her. And you guys know you can reach us at info at the Real Money Coach. Info at the Real Money Coach. So love to hear from you. Love to get your feedback of what you think about the shows and all that good stuff. So with that, you all, it's been another great episode. I look forward to seeing you guys next week on the Real Money Coach, 8 p.m. on Thursday. We have a good friend of mine, Yeti is her name. She's going to come and share some of her success that she's having in financial services and her passion that she's doing in her community. I think one of the important things about Yeti is that her focus is her community, and we need to be focused on our community. People look out for their own, and you can't hold that against them. And that's what I love about what he shared tonight is our neighbors. Who is your neighbor? Just think about it. It says that about who is thy neighbor? Who's your neighbor? And it's easy to give to someone that can give back. That's easy. It's easy to do favors for somebody that can give back. But what about the person that has nothing to give back to you? Nothing. Look, you're looking for nothing in return, just to give. And so I encourage you, pray about it. If you seek to give, do so. And we will see you next week on the Real Money Coach.